Hello and welcome to Insiders, a podcast all about the world of television with me, Jimmy Mulville.
And me, Peter Fincham.
This is a podcast for people who love TV and want to know a bit more about what goes on behind the scenes in show business. Peter, what have you been up to since we last did this?
I've been to see the Norwegian fjords.
Of course you did. You're going off to Norway looking for formats.
I did. And what can I say? They're fantastic, the fjords. It did rain a lot. I'm not sure it ever stopped raining. And also, and you know, as a parent yourself, you'll identify with this. As we were about to leave the airport on Thursday evening, I think it was, I said to my daughter Holly, I said, have you packed your toothbrush? Have you got, you know, some clean clothes or
Questions
whatever?
that irritate the hell out of them.
I know. And then I said, and your passport? Have you got your passport? There was a long pause. And to cut a long story short, her passport was in Glasgow.
Of course it was.
And we were in West London at the time. So we had a very, very elaborate journey on a train to Glasgow and then a flight from Edinburgh to Bergen or whatever.
It was like Race Across the World.
It was a bit like Race Across the World, but without any prizes at the end of it at all.
Well, apart from 3 days with your lovely daughter.
3 days with my lovely daughter. Seeing the fjords, I can confirm fjords are stunning things.
Would you go back?
Well, you could argue that when you've seen one fjord, you know, you've seen a fjord.
Well, we lost our Norway audience there.
And I can also confirm that if you've seen Scottish lochs,
Steady.
they're not that different. But no, it's lovely. And I love Norway. And we had a very happy weekend together. What about you, Jim?
Well, I went to Liverpool. First of all, I went on Friday night and took my sister to see a musical at the Royal Court Theatre. I think it's called The Legend of Rooney's Ring, written by
Wayne Rooney?
Written by Helen Saravinovitz, who writes Motherland.
Okay.
And she's a Scouser like me. And then the following day, I went to see my team Everton play in their new stadium.
Oh, what's the new stadium like?
The Hill Dickinson Stadium.
Yes, named after a law firm.
Named after a maritime insurance legal firm.
Bit depressing, that. But is it a good stadium?
It's a fantastic stadium, but it felt a bit weird. It did feel a bit...
Yeah.
I mean, it'll take a while.
Yeah, but you get used to it. And you can always go and see the women's team in Goodison Park, can't you?
We can. And
For nostalgic reasons.
And the team made us feel at home by getting beat 1-0.
Yes.
So they kind of,
it felt like a characteristic.
It felt very, very
Everton
familiar.
Game.
But we're not going to, before we launch into our format, we think we should mark the moment of the passing of a TV giant, don't we?
Yes. We're talking about Biddy Baxter here.
Biddy Baxter passed away. She was in her 90s, had a good innings.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was, in many ways, she was a force of nature because, well, should we explain who she is? For those of you who don't know who she is.
She was the editor of Blue Peter from 1965 to 1988.
Yeah.
And if you're our generation, you and me, Jimmy, then you grew up on Blue Peter. That's if you were a Blue Peter person and were a kind of BBC person.
Yes.
Because there was an alternative.
Later.
To watch on ITV.
Called Magpie.
And to a degree, a bit like you're either an Everton supporter or a Liverpool supporter.
Yes.
You kind of were a Magpie person or a Blue Peter. But I've got to admit, we Fincham children, we were Blue Peter people.
Why am I not shocked by that?
I don't know. Why is it? Because we're southern middle class types.
Yes.
What about you?
I love a bit
up
of
there
Magpie.
in the Scouse.
I like a bit of
Magpie.
I like Blue Peter, but I didn't think I could ever apply for a Blue Peter badge.
Didn't you?
No, I felt in many ways disenfranchised from the whole Blue Peter experience. I used to watch it and I'd kind of peer into that world of middle class children.
Horrible people like me.
I think, what are they on about?
Yeah. Did you not collect your milk bottle tops? Send them in. Well, that was one of the big Blue Peter things.
No, I know.
I never understood why. What was the value in the tops of milk bottles?
And also repurposing everything, like squeezy bottles and sticky back plastic.
Absolutely.
It was about teaching children. I mean, she took over the programme when it was really nothing at all on the BBC, and she did turn it into a national institution.
She's extraordinary. I met her once when I was at the BBC. She'd retired by then, but she was brought in for some party, almost like to host a party. It must be something to do with children's television. She was squeezed out. There's various things about Biddy Baxter that I think are very interesting to look through a modern lens at. I mean, obviously, she was a giant of a figure. It's very unusual for the editor of a programme to be almost as well known as the programme. So the extensive coverage she's had totally earned. Kate Phillips, who's now the creative head of the BBC, called her a truly inspirational television producer who transformed children's broadcasting through her passion and commitment. I don't think anybody would doubt that. She was squeezed out and you can work it out because we now know, she's 92 and she's just died. She was 55 when they said, "You're too old, you better get out."
Yeah.
Now that's
But
shocking.
was that probably a new broom coming in?
Yeah. No, there was a new broom,
head of
a new broom who she clashed with and therefore got rid of. And that seems like a depressing and familiar story. And the idea that you're ready for the knackers yard at 55, obviously that doesn't play very well with us.
Well, when we reach 55, let's make that decision then.
And then, of course, those phrases like force of nature. She was obviously a very strong personality.
Yeah.
You did things Biddy's way, or you were out of there. But there's another side of that again, because whereas Peter is it Peter Purves or Peter Purvis?
Peter Purvis.
Peter
Got to be steady how you
say
how you pronounce that.
He described
Peter
her
Purv.
an absolute powerhouse.
Yes.
She controlled everything about the programme and with quite a rigid hand.
What's the subtext of that, do you think?
Well, I'm just coming to that. She was a remarkable woman. This is Peter Purvis. So he's spoken in a little bit of code there. John Noakes hasn't. He said she was a bully who treated me like some country yokel from Yorkshire. I couldn't abide her.
Yeah, well, we all thought he was a bit of a country bumpkin from Yorkshire. I mean, wasn't that his gig? That he was, I'm up on top of Nelson's column, about to fall off. Oh, no. I mean...
Yvette Fielding, who joined in 1987, described her as incredibly cruel.
Oh.
And I suppose the issue, because she died... she's died in the last week. Let's not speak ill of the dead. She was an amazing
but we're
woman.
having
But it's
a
quite
balanced
interesting
assessment of her
that if you
achievements.
bring modern views to bear on her, all this stuff about force of nature, you had to do. You're all terrified of Biddy. That's now got a different overtone to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was she a bully? I dare say she was. Does that detract from her extraordinary achievement in making Blue Peter, the children's television program for entire generations? I
have a feeling that shows that make an impact like that, that kind of describe themselves and are, what you're talking about. When you say Blue Peter, everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. Does require a kind of maniac at the centre of it all, who's driving the bus, and she was definitely one of those people. She had an eye also for you remember the time that Lulu pissed on the studio floor live? Lulu the Elephant.
I may
Obviously not our beloved Scottish singer Lulu.
Lulu.
She's never pissed on a studio floor. Well, certainly
you
not.
Make me want to shout.
But
no, tell me about it, Jimmy. I think maybe I was doing my homework that day. I think I missed that one.
Well, there was a moment where, and I think the A team for me anyway, is that the original band was Valerie Singleton, Peter Purvis,
yes,
and John Noakes. The three of them are with an elephant. It's a baby elephant, but it still weighs a ton. And it decides to micturate all over the studio floor. It has a good old
Is this
wax.
live? We're talking about live television.
Well, here's the thing. It's always been quoted as, isn't that the great thing about live TV? But this was a moment which is repeated. It goes viral. You can get it on YouTube. It's Lulu the Elephant pissing on this. It wasn't live. It was
But they broadcast it with the elephant pissing.
And Biddy decided to play it because
her.
she realised it was a great TV moment.
And here we are talking about it decades ago.
So she's got that eye of a brilliant producer of what's going to work, what's going to get this programme noticed. And, also, it's about Blue Peter is it presents a very wholesome aspect to the world, and it's trying to get children to make things and to be responsible and to be kind. But there were shady goings on. The first dog they had. Have you heard about this?
No. Well, I don't know what you're going to tell me.
Okay, so every show needs a dog.
Is this another one?
And you know why she wanted a dog on the show?
Floor?
No. She wanted a dog on the show for those children who couldn't afford to have a dog themselves. Obviously not people in the south like you, Peter, but the blighted north, where we would, obviously we'd eat our pets. But so the dog was presented. I don't know why I'm laughing, because I have my dog and I love my dog. And it died 2 days later.
Don't tell me, they got another one in that looked the same.
They got another one that looked exactly the same.
Viewers.
And never told the viewers.
Oh, brilliant.
But she did things like, for example, she'd upset BBC management by insisting she found some scrubland in TV Centre and demanded it would be the Blue Peter Garden. Well, the Blue Peter Garden actually became quite iconic.
It did.
Things happened in the Blue Peter Garden. I mean, there was a time when someone went in and vandalised the Blue Peter Garden. It was on the front page of every single newspaper. This is a kids' show we're talking about, and Biddy made it national news.
Can I just say, at the risk of creating the wrong impression about my lifestyle, my garden I have a house in Suffolk, and my garden was designed by a former Blue Peter gardener called Sue Townsend.
It's a small world.
Who was the Blue Peter gardener in the late 90s, early 2000s, and now designs gardens in Suffolk.
You know how to live, Peter. But did you ever
So all roads lead back to Biddy Baxter. I mean, in some ways, you could say she's like a prototype independent producer. She's definitely not somebody who, does what the bosses say, who's a conformist. She's
a maverick.
She's a maverick. She's a maverick because she cares deeply about the programme.
At the end of her life, she can look back and say, she did create something which, for our culture, I thought was really important.
We should get on to television. There's one more little news story.
Yes.
I want to quickly refer to.
Bye-bye, Biddy.
Bye-bye, Biddy.
Okay. And thank
welcome, Cycling Mikey, is he
Cycling
called?
Mikey.
Or Cycling Mickey. He's been in the news.
Who is he, Peter?
He's a bloke who goes around and tries to find motorists who are looking at their phone when they're stuck at the traffic lights or whatever,
Yes.
and then kind of exposes them, and he sends the footage to the authorities, and then they lose their license and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this time he's taken it a bit too far. He pushed his bike in front of a car that he thought shouldn't be driving where it was, and the car crashed into his bike, which smashes into all sorts of pieces. And I suppose the question is he in the right there, or is he in the wrong? Because is he deliberately crashing the car? That's for others to decide. But I only bring it up because I think you've met him, haven't you, Jim?
I have met him, and thank you for bringing it up. It's an opportunity for me to talk about this.
Do you need your lawyers to be here?
No,
for this
Cycling Mikey. When I realised you want to talk about it, I thought, well, we're a TV Insiders podcast. Why are we talking about this? But you're absolutely right. This man
Because what it shows is you never stopped working because you were working in your car.
No, he has a YouTube channel, this guy.
Oh, okay.
He has 120,000.
And you're on it.
And I'm on it. And what happened was I was on Battersea Bridge, Your Honour. And
traffic's often very bad on
and we were gridlocked.
Gridlocked.
We were gridlocked there.
Have a look at your phone.
And I was staring at my phone.
Yes.
And looking at a text. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't moving. I was stationary, but I was still apparently breaking the law.
Yes.
Right? My attention is drawn to my driver's side window, and there is a man with a red face and a cycling helmet dressed in lycra tapping on the window, shaking his finger at me, which I always enjoy. And he's shouting at me in a South African accent.
Did you wind the window down?
No, I didn't. No. And he's telling me to get off my phone. And I invite him,
yes,
very politely, to go fuck himself.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I didn't spot. Being in television, you think I would have spotted.
Yeah,
in fact, he had
exactly.
a camera on his head. But I didn't spot the camera, Peter, because I'm not technical. And 6 months later, I got a DVD from the Met Police saying, we have you on camera breaking the law. Not only breaking the law.
It was a DVD of Cycling Mikey's greatest hits.
It was.
They'd spotted.
But
you were in the Christmas stocking DVD.
Yeah, but what he does, he puts it online. He sees that's the punishment. And you go
Is he
online.
invading your privacy by doing that? Isn't there an argument with that?
I don't know. I got 6 points and I got fined. And then I got lots of people texting me saying, I saw you, because he puts it online. And he's got 120,000 subscribers. And then here's the end of the story, which is ironic. As you know,
he's making money out of that incident. Are you on a cut of the money?
No.
I think there's various ways you could sue.
I think he should maybe contact my agent about my
Invasion
appearance
of privacy,
on his show.
You haven't signed a release form to use a television.
Oh, you've got me going now, Peter.
Television terminology.
I wish you'd been in the car with
without
me.
you using a release. Is your face pixelated?
No, it just looks like this normally. but he is a here's the thing, is that he gets you at it because he wants to get you at it.
Yeah, the answer is you should look away and not even look him in the eye. Then it's useless footage.
You're absolutely right. And all his best bits are all people losing their shit.
Of course, yeah.
And he's done Guy Ritchie, Chris Eubank, Frank Lampard. I mean, I'm way down the pecking order when it comes to people that he's done. But nevertheless, it landed in the Mail Online. I got lots of very funny texts from people I know saying, oh, nice review in the Mail Online. But here's the kicker, is about 6 months later, the people who run Strongwatch, the digital company that we are in business with at Hattrick, they knocked on my door and said, we're thinking of doing an interview on their channel. They have a channel called Deep. It's a brilliant channel where they interview people with unusual jobs or with unusual experiences or people who are interesting and do lots of different things with them. He said, we're thinking of doing something with the GoPro man, with Cycling Mikey, but he said you should check with, he actually said you should check with your partner because actually I've done him on my show.
Why would you mind?
And I said,
then?
I don't
Go
mind
for
at
it.
all. Let's make some money out of him.
He's making money out of you.
And then I asked the question, which made me rethink him. I said, why does he do it? And then Ben said this to me. Ben Paljones said to me, oh, his father was killed in an accident with a drunk driver.
Okay.
So you begin to understand why he does it. And I've seen the interview on Deep on their channel. It's a really good interview. He's actually quite a sweet bloke.
Well, it's funny because
He's not a terrible person.
the sort of vigilante side of it, you know, if you were caught as you were, you might feel really annoyed
Yeah,
by
at
it.
the time.
You
Yeah,
might
you're
think-
embarrassed.
And also, I don't know if you've seen this footage that's out there now of him pushing his bike in front of
Yeah.
the car. You think, God, don't do that. It's a bit of an idiot to do that, to be
Yes.
perfectly honest. So you know, you can see it in different ways. But actually, my attitude to it changes slightly when you say he's got 120,000 on YouTube,
Yeah.
followers on YouTube, because he'll be making money out of that.
Yeah.
So it's turned into a business for him.
Yeah.
So it's a bit complicated. You know, better to say, which is awful, that his father was killed by a
He
drunk
says, I
driver.
see it as my civic duty. He has a job.
Yeah.
And
But it also speaks to what is television, what is content. In other words, it seems a very improbable way of developing a YouTube channel, but who cares?
he accounts for nearly 3,000 penalty points.
Wow.
So he's racking it up, his name is Michael Van Erp. You could put TW on the front of the Erp, I think. And then I think he's a wounded pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I think he's got his justifications for doing it, but boy, oh boy, I wish he hadn't met me on Battersea Bridge that day.
No,
Anyway.
must remind myself to have a look at that on YouTube later.
Yes.
Let's
Thanks,
go.
thanks for bringing it up, by the
That's
way.
all right. That's
No,
all
no,
right.
I really
so we
appreciate
still
that.
haven't had an envelope. Come on, Owen. Let's have the first envelope. Here we go. First envelope. You're only as good as your last $100 million Netflix output deal.
Ah, yes.
Oh, I think we know what this is about.
That's quite ironic from Owen there.
This is the news that Harry and Meghan have signed what's been described as a multi-year first-look deal with Netflix, which would give the streamer first refusal on ideas from their production company Archwell. We don't know how many years the deal is set to last or what financial arrangement is. The previous deal was believed to be worth about $100 million. So, I mean, there's so much to say about this. And you know, obviously, as TV insiders, we're used to carefully worded statements.
Right.
The original deal, I'm guessing, was what you call an output deal, guaranteeing that they would commission various things. The $100 million was a headline figure,
Yeah.
so whether or not include production costs makes a huge difference there. It's not $100 million probably in their pockets. There could have been, but an output deal, essentially, an output deal guarantees output, says we will commission your idea.
We'll make the programs.
Or make the programs. A first look deal doesn't do that at all.
No.
And first look deals, I mean, there may be a sum of money that in a sense, you know, is in exchange for the fact they've got first look at the ideas.
Yes.
But normally, a first look deal will give Netflix the right to turn every idea that they come up with down.
Yes.
So they've sort of not got an output deal with them anymore. And since one of them, I mean, there are various ideas they come up with. One of them was a documentary series about polo, which, you know,
I'm
polo
watching
the
that.
sport.
Oh, I
which-
thoud you meant the sweets.
Well, that might have been that might have had a
I'd
wider
have watched
appeal.
the one about the mint.
Yeah, that might have had a
I'm
wider
fascinated
appeal.
by polo
But,
the
but
mint.
in other words, if you've done an output deal,
Yeah.
and then Harry comes in and says, "I want to make a documentary series about polo," one of the most minority of minority sports, that you're going to have a real struggle.
You want to be
selling
in
it.
the room for that pitch.
You want
don't
to be in the room for that.
You want to
pitch.
be where they all have to fake kind of
Fake
a
interest.
thrill.
Oh,
my
it's a
God,
real-
Harry, that's fantastic polo. Oh my God, that's great. What is that?
Exactly. So
They're on horses.
I
Oh,
confidently
fabulous.
predict that now that it's a first look story, first look deal, a documentary series about polo or the equivalent of that is not going to be worth pitching to Netflix.
No. So what else did they do? They did the.
They did Heart of Invictus about the Invictus Games.
Well, it's fair enough.
Which is good, but I mean, you know, and then there's the With Love Meghan, the kind of Meghan turns into Martha Stewart.
Oh, I
kind
couldn't
of
stop watching
how,
that.
how to make raspberry jam kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Her in the kitchen, looking so
and
unfamiliar.
hang on, the documentary, the documentary about themselves and their relationship with the royal family, Harry and Meghan, that comes under that Apple deal. That's probably the one they wanted. That's the one they wanted. He's dishing
But
the
the
dirt on the royal
Oprah,
family.
the Oprah interview was the
Had
one.
done all that anyway.
And they've
that
done
wasn't
all,
for
and they've done
Netflix.
all that. That's when we discovered that she was attracted to Harry because, like her, he wanted to rescue chickens.
Yeah.
That was the main attraction, apparently.
So, although this has been, announced and written about as a big thing, if it's a first look deal, my honest view is not that big a thing
But
at all.
you sometimes say
First look
this.
deals amount to nothing.
You sometimes say this, don't you? That it's a good announcement.
Yeah.
But what's behind? What's
behind it?
What does it actually mean? I mean,
It sounds a bit face-saving, doesn't it? It sounds Netflix don't want it to look as if they've dropped Harry and Meghan or turned on them. That's not a good look for Netflix. They like the idea of saying we have a relationship with these very, very famous people. Harry and Meghan don't want it to look at their end as if they've been dropped. So this one doesn't have any money attached, which is interesting. The previous one, they're all boasting about the $100 million, which again, the boast works for both of them. It just makes it sound big and important. I would say this sounds like a face-saving thing. I'd also say this, that my experience of exclusive deals and all deals of this sort is that normally the best thing about them is an announcement and then disappointment sets in. And basically programs are come about better when somebody's got a great idea for a program, takes it to somebody who commissions it, and a hit ensues.
Yeah.
Programs that are created within the kind of parameters of one of these overall deals, whether it's output, first look, whatever you want to call it, seem weirdly forced in many cases.
Well, it's the idea that you created the means of delivery without creating
the idea.
So you've got a pipeline that you feel as a creative, you're burdened now with the effort of coming up. But I'll talk about that in a minute. But I have heard there's a darker reason why Netflix want to keep.
Is it a broadcastable darker? I like the sound of it.
I don't know.
Is it something we're going to be able to keep in the podcast?
Someone did say, and I can't say who it was, but they said they think the reason why they've got Netflix are keeping hold of Harry and Meghan.
I think I know what you're going to say. Yes, go on.
So when they get divorced,
they're in there.
They
with
will
the
get the document. They'll get Meghan, My Truth, and Harry, I'm playing polo again.
Well, that's speculation, isn't it?
And it's also a bit mean, but it's also I'm afraid it's entirely in the realms of possibility that they want to keep them sweet.
So give him his polo series in the belief that round the corner, the polo series is the paste sandwich before the cream cake.
It's a little bit of a soft.
But
we've just left a first look deal,
right?
With 20th Century Television in America, owned by Disney. And it was the company that I have with Jed Mercurio, HTM, Patrick Mercurio, and of course they were very keen for Jed to write a thriller for Hulu, which is part of their family. And so we have to say the people who run 20th Century Studios, 20th Century TV, the studio, are brilliant. Carrie Burke and Carolyn Cassidy and the team there are really brilliant people to work with. And we had a great time for 2 years. We met lots of brilliant American writers. I met Steve Levitan, who did Modern Family. We pitched a show with David Crane and Jeffrey Clarick, who did Friends and episodes.
So this wasn't only about Jed Mercurio stuff?
No, Jed and I used it as a platform to grow other development. So Jed was going to pitch his thriller, and we have a comedy with Steve Levitan and Bill Rubel, a comedy with David Crane. We had other shows in development with ABC, FX, a whole nest of Disney channels. And after 2 years, we hadn't sold a single show. Now, that could have been due to the quality of the show. I don't think it was. I think that what happened was we just met Disney at a time when they were kind of drawing in their horns a bit, and Bob Iger had just come back in to run it. And I think everybody was a bit anxious about what to do. So the guy who ran Hulu, Craig Erwick, very nice guy, but I think his MO at the time was, let's not do anything for a while. So Jed pitched his thriller. It's a brilliant thriller. And they didn't quite get it because they wanted more explanation in the first episode. And of course, we pointed out, well, in thrillers, of course, it's about mystery and about, well, what's going on here? So, in fact, we've now sold it to Netflix. And we used to have a joke, Jed and I.
So this isn't the one you've just made in Vancouver?
Yeah, no, we're making the show now with Netflix, but it was originally commissioned for a Disney channel. And that happens all the time in our business.
Yeah, of course.
It gets commissioned for one channel, it ends up on another channel. It's fine. It's all good. We're enjoying working with Netflix in Vancouver. But it just, you know, that idea that we went out with high expectations of this fantastic deal, and they paid us a bit of money to bring our ideas to them first. But at the back of my mind, like you, I always thought, is this the right way round to make shows? Because the expectation now, we went out every 6 weeks. They gave me a watch. They gave me an Apple Watch saying, welcome to the Disney family. And my children said, that's so they can track you. That's so they can keep an eye on you.
Make sure you're working.
It was very inclusive, but nothing came of it. In fact, at Christmas, before our deal ended, the Christmas of the last year, we sent a Christmas card to everybody over there. And it was a little Christmas card with Jed McCurry and I dressed as elves. And we said, Merry Christmas to all our friends at Disney, even Hulu. Because we had not been able to sell one show to Hulu. And of course, you know what that's like when you're a producer. You begin to hate the people who don't buy your shows.
Well, obviously, you know, one of the, I think we talked about this before on the podcast. One of the really well-known examples of this is the Phoebe Waller-Bridge deal with Amazon, signed in 2019, worth $20 million a year. Even there's a slight danger to Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She becomes better known for that, the sort of moneybags reputation.
She's just off the back of Fleabag,
yeah, of course,
and Killing Eve. She was hotter than hot.
But now we're in August 25, and you know she's done some things like you made a documentary about an octopus or something, and she worked on the James Bond film, the last James Bond film, things like that. But on the face of it, nothing's come from that deal. Now, so if nothing's come from that deal, Amazon are down $100 million, let's say. I think they've extended that deal. I think they extended it in January 23. But again, interesting, in the second announcement, they didn't mention the money.
Yeah.
Because the money has a good thing in the first announcement. It sounds big and kind of, you know, Amazon or whoever's spending the money sound like they're making a big gesture, big investment in talent. And to the person, it does sound like they won the lottery or whatever. Come the second announcement, just like with Harry and Meghan, no mention of money this time. I think that's kind of interesting. But what we don't know is what's gone on in the last 5 years. Has Phoebe Waller-Bridge, like you with Hulu, been pitching ideas every 6 weeks? Has she got an Amazon Apple Watch? You know, does she get special Christmas cards from them or whatever? In other words, is it just that they haven't liked her ideas, or is it that she's had sort of writer's block because the money weighs upon her, and every time she thinks of an idea, she thinks, well, that's great, but it's not as good as Fleabag.
Maybe all
that's
those
great,
things.
it's not as good as Eve. We don't know.
Maybe a mixture. I mean, she was down to co-create and co-star in Mr. and Mrs. with the brilliant Daniel Glover from Atlanta. Remember him?
Yes.
And he ended up doing it with somebody else. And
That didn't happen.
And she didn't. She jumped off the project. Now, that obviously speaks to maybe some creative differences there. So the deal got off on a strange foot.
Yeah. But if you can imagine, she'd done Fleabag, she'd done Killing Eve. She's as hot as hot. At the point at which Amazon start dangling $100 million in front of you, how could you possibly criticize her for saying yes to that deal and signing that deal? Had I kind of been advising her, I think I'd have said, one, I'm not sure it's a good idea to do. But it's very difficult to say to somebody, turn down money like that.
I think it was 20 million, wasn't it?
20 million a year. 20 million a year.
Yeah.
But two, if it's the
years.
right thing to do,
Wow.
can we do it without making any sort of announcement about it at all? Trouble is, at that point, it's the other party that wants to make the announcement. Amazon want to make the announcement. They want to say, it's not that different to football, football club signing up the latest
I was just about to say.
hot product. They want to say, we've signed this hot striker.
Yeah.
And
they want to say Amazon want to say that to Netflix.
Yeah, of course they do.
They're always talking to Netflix, Amazon.
And of course, it can backfire in football, because then if they don't score a goal for the next 6 months, they'll look better. But ultimately, in the world of football, transfer fees of £60 million or £100 million, they're commonplace in a way. Whereas in television, that's much more unusual.
Especially these days.
Yeah, which is why the Phoebe Waller-Bridge deal got such a lot of publicity. Now, next year, Phoebe Waller-Bridge could come out of the traps with something as brilliant as Fleabag. Then all this is forgotten, and she's got years and years ahead of her to do more great things. But at the moment, and I think this is what links Harry and Meghan and her, and maybe links your Hulu deal. To me, they're all proving a point, which is that the motivation behind output / first look deals with large sums of money attached is actually slightly the wrong motivation.
And it's interesting is that the Federal Reserve did a survey 30 odd years ago about what motivates people at work. And they went into it thinking, well, it's carrot and stick. We pay people more, they'll do more work. But they came to the conclusion that anything more creative than just putting things in boxes on conveyor belts, where you say, put 5 things in, I'll give you $5, 10 things, I'll do $10. Anything more creative than that, as long as you're being paid enough, the money actually doesn't really matter. It's about, autonomy and about support and about purpose. All these other things that you want in a workplace, in a good place of work. And similarly, if you're a creative person at home and suddenly you've got this, I think you're right about I wonder if it impedes that kind of creative flow, thinking, God, I've got this 100 million deal.
Yeah.
I have to in some way meet the expectations of that deal.
Is this an argument you use in your annual pay rounds at Hattrick? I imagine
I do.
It is with your creative
I do.
team.
Keep it.
So the last thing you want us to do.
The last thing you need is money.
Too much money. Exactly.
You don't need money.
It'll just weigh on your conscience.
Every Tuesday we've got free croissants. And we're
happy.
And we're
They're all happy.
And we're near the tube. Come on. There are worse things. Anyway,
so what do we think? Harry and Meghan.
So we think it's a bit of a joke, really, don't we?
Well, I just think when you move to the word first look, you're basically scaling it
so watch out for
far
that, folks. Is that when you see...
It does mean you'll have to have a better idea than a documentary series about polo. Let's do another envelope.
Okay,
Let's get on to our
another envelope.
Subject of the day, and this envelope's coming your way,
Okay.
Jimmy.
Thank you, Owen. A very nice envelope. Let's see this. There's no money in it. Okay. Oh, much more than a Mickey Mouse league. Well,
That's quite cryptic.
No, I think it's about Disney announced it's pushing into European football. They've agreed a deal with La Liga, the Spanish league, to show live matches on Disney from next season. They're going to show one match a week on a platform, so we can watch it because if you have Disney Plus in this country and across Europe, so they're opening it up. So this is a growing trend, isn't it, for the streamers who are now buying live events, sporting events. Amazon, for example, has acquired a number of these, including basketball, NBA, the NFL, football on Thursday nights, and also the Champions League. And Netflix shows the Christmas Day big NFL games, and has agreed to show the wrestling. So it's interesting in sports rights and television. What a journey they've been on since the 1960s, really, if you think about it.
It's extraordinary. And on the face of it, if you got all the streamers now saying, we can see the point of having live sport, that brings audiences that our drama doesn't bring, or our or our acquired program doesn't bring, then you, on the face of it, you add just another twist to the inflationary spiral of sports rights that over the last 30 or 40 years has made sport unbelievably valuable. And we've seen this recently. We've read about in cricket, which, back in my broadcasting days, cricket financially, it was kind of, but it was a wonderful but old-fashioned and maybe slightly minority sport.
Did the BBC show any cricket?
Not
in
really.
Your day?
No, well,
It already gone to Sky.
I actually
or Channel 4.
acquired I seem to remember acquiring the highlights right to the Cricket World Cup during my time at the BBC.
I must have missed that.
It was the first time. Well, I'm a cricket fan. It was the first time in quite a long time there'd been any cricket on BBC One, which of course made kind of older Daily Telegraph readers really cross. Why isn't there any cricket on BBC One?
Yeah.
But in those days, I don't want to say you couldn't give it away, but I can give an example of that. When the IPL, the most valuable sports franchise in the world, is it now, the Indian Premier League in India, started, I had a phone call from somebody who literally offered me the rights for free just so it could get a bit of exposure in the UK. And we took it. I was on ITV at the time. We put it on ITV4, I seem to remember. Now those rights are worth tens of millions. There's a thing called the 100, which is a newish cricket competition. It's only a few years old. It's a kind of slightly debased version of a T20 because it's 100 balls. It's even shorter than a 20-over match. And that's just been sold for £500 million. So the I mean, I'm
But
just
what's
using
that doing to
data.
cricket? I mean,
Well, it's putting a lot of money in cricket that wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's meaning that cricketers now can sell their services to the highest bidder. They make a lot of money now, and this is all to do ultimately with the value of broadcast rights. It's not box office rights, and on the face of it, it just means more money flowing into sport than you've seen in a very long time. Because if the streamers all think we've got to be in this game, they've got deep pockets.
Because in the 60s and 70s, it was basically the BBC, ITV. They controlled all the big events: Wimbledon, cricket.
Yeah,
football.
remember there's a thing called listed events, and listed events, which Wimbledon are part of, meant that they couldn't be behind a paywall. They had to be free to air, and that still exists, and it protects things like the World Cup, the Euros, Wimbledon, things. I'm not up to date on exactly what's on the list, but there was always a tension between, if you like, reach and revenue. So to take the Champions League as an example, for quite a long time, ITV had the rights in the Champions League, at least the latter stages of the competition, the quarterfinals, semi-finals, finals, and so on, because the organisers wanted to reach an audience of, let's say, 8 or 10 million people. If they'd sold then to Sky, they'd have halved the audience immediately because not everybody had a Sky, had access to Sky's services. But then you were only really thinking of, would you rather be on free-to-air television, BBC, ITV, or would you rather be behind a paywall? In those days, it sort of meant Sky. Now it means Sky and TNT, which is previously BT Sport, and now it means Amazon, Disney, and the rest of them.
It's fragmented now.
It's fragmented, but logically, that just means they pay more.
And I was in Australia in April. I had a meeting at one of the Foxtel channels called Binge, who predominantly do very good shows, dramas, a whole range of shows. But they'd just been acquired by a company called, now it's spelt DAZN. How would you pronounce that?
DAZN.
Yeah, you'd think, wouldn't you? You kind of start off with D and hope for the best, but it's actually DAZN.
DAZN, okay.
DAZN. And DAZN had bought the Foxtel nest of channels.
Yeah.
And actually, this person I was talking to, who was the programmer at Binge, you could see that she was worried that I wonder if now, basically, because they are a sports rights acquisition, they're owned by Access Industries, Access Entertainment, which is actually run by Danny Cohen and is owned by Len Blavatnik. Our old friend, he's not an oligarch strictly. He was born in Ukraine in the 50s, but moved to America when he was like 19.
Okay.
So, but he is a billionaire.
Yeah.
He is Ukrainian, so sod it, we can call him an oligarch. And he is basically incredibly voracious. He's second richest man in Britain. He is so voracious. He's got 40 channels where he just goes in, and he's got the rights to La Liga in Spain, 5 games a week. He's going around the world hoovering up and changing the nature of channels by basically turning them into sports delivery channels. Because, as you said, people will want to watch sport live. There's no point watching watching a recording of a sport is not much fun.
But they will follow the sport to wherever it is. So one of the limitations of spending a lot of money on sports rights, if you're running a traditional broadcaster like ITV, is you get almost no viewer credit from doing it because if today it's on ITV and next week it's on Channel 4, you just watch it on Channel 4. So it doesn't add to the value of your brand, but it definitely brings audiences, sometimes quite expensive audiences. So, a Premier League, if you do a deal for a bundle of Premier League matches, they won't all be Manchester United versus Liverpool. They will also include, matches on a wet Tuesday night between two mid-table teams. Manchester United is a mid-table team that nobody gives a damn about. To be perfectly honest, you're still spending millions of pounds on that match. Also, in sport, I don't know whether you at Hat-Trick have ever thought about getting into sports production. Very specialist.
Polo, I thought.
Polo, yeah. Very specialist area.
Polo.
There's companies like Sunset and Vine are very good in it. But sports production is quite detached from sports rights. The value and the money is in sports rights. And again, sports production, it's usually done very well. I mean, I think most sports production
Well,
coverage in the
Sky
UK is
revolutionised
extremely good,
football.
very innovative
Yeah.
and so on.
Yeah.
But I don't think you make a fortune by going into sports production.
No.
It's in the buying and selling of rights that the money's made.
I think it's rather perilous being a company that is basically a service provider.
Yeah,
where
you're gun for hire.
because if the people who own those rights decide to go elsewhere or decide to do it in-house, you're out of business.
And you don't own the sport. You don't have any IP.
There's no underlying ownership at all. So what are we thinking? What do we think then? We always say we don't predict the future on this show, but Disney coming in, Amazon coming in. You can watch Premier League games on Amazon now on Boxing Day and stuff, and it's enjoyable. I mean, they're all there. You can just pick and choose. But it does mean that are Sky looking over their shoulder now? Do you think?
I don't know. In Sky, that's a different issue. Maybe we should come back to that in another podcast. How is this world developing, and are when you've got this sort of big game, big money changes? Is there a danger that such and such an organisation kind of is still on the beach and the tide's gone out?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be very interesting to talk about maybe in another podcast.
Well, I think that the Disney deal and the moves that Amazon are making are definitely they're shots across the bow. I think they recognise that if you own big sports rights, you can guarantee big audiences.
I think we've talked quite a lot about television. We've also talked about other non-television-y things. We actually, we talked about Michael, what's he called? Mickey the cyclist or whatever.
Cycling Mikey.
And we find out that is about television.
Well,
because he's got a YouTube channel with 120,000 views.
Because I knew why you wanted to talk about him.
Yeah.
But I thought actually we can justify it this guy is now on YouTube.
He's a broadcaster.
And we are including YouTube in our conversations about TV content because, let's face it, YouTube is now a player.
It is.
And will continue to
Would
be so.
YouTube buy sports rights themselves?
There you go.
Have they?
Well, maybe.
And with not, why not?
Maybe this will be discussed.
Because that would really get people to.
Well, here's a trailer for next week. Maybe this will be discussed at next week's Edinburgh Television Festival, which neither you nor I will be at.
No, but we'll be following it and seeing what's talked about and what the news stories are. So that's all for this week. Thanks very much for listening. Any questions about the world of television you've always wanted to ask, send them our way. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, and you can send us on email or get in touch via our socials. All the info is in the description. And so thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed the show, please do follow Insiders, the TV podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or even better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Oh, yes.
Perhaps we could auction our YouTube channel between Amazon and Disney.
Let's hope we one day...
A bit like sports right package.
Yeah. Or maybe we can aim for the heights of Cycling Mikey.
Exactly.